All right, welcome yogis to another episode of our Soul Purpose series where I interview coaches and teachers and entrepreneurs that I really admire, and I get to pick their brains and ask them why they do the things that they do and how they got started. So today's episode is very special. It is with sisters Kelly Collins and Lauren Collins, the founders of SISSFiT. Now, I met Kelly on a very special photo shoot that I'm actually not allowed yet to say what it was for, but I will be able to make the announcement very, very soon. I have yet to meet Lauren. This is my first introduction to her, but I'm very, very excited to bring them onto this platform so we can discuss what SISSFiT is and how they got started. So welcome, guys. Thank you so much for making it. We had some scheduling issues behind the scenes. We've really been trying to get this
a couple months in the making. But
yeah, a couple months in the making. So just a little introduction to Kelly and Lauren, if you are not familiar with who they are and if you are not familiar with SISSFiT. So they are the creators of the SISSFiT platform. They are sisters, trainers, sports models, and former track and field athletes, I believe, correct?
Yep.
Yeah, both track and field. And now they have joined together to create SISSFiT, which is a great, wonderful online platform for women to inspire them to lead some healthier lives. So thank you again. Ladies, can you fill in the gaps if I missed anything in that introduction? I know you've both had very big careers already.
Thank you. No, I mean, you did a great job. So we were Division I track and field athletes. We were actually teammates. So that was really fun. We had 2 years together. And then from there, Lauren, you can hop into, has been a full-time fitness model. So she's been traveling all over the world. And I was working as a sales rep. So same thing, just constant travel all the time. So we always knew that we wanted to start something, but we would just keep in contact and provide each other workouts and recipes and things that worked for us while we were on the go. So about a year ago, we're like, well, why don't we show everyone how to do this? It really is doable despite crazy busy schedules. You just have to be strategic with your workouts. And so that's a little bit of like how we joined together to start everything.
I feel like maybe I didn't do a proper introduction. Can you say like what SISSFiT is and just give a little history? Because this is a very new thing for you guys. Like it's a recent endeavor that you started. So how long has it been running? And what is it for people who've never tried it or have never done like online kind of things like this?
Sure. Sure. We're like, it's always such a loaded question. We're no. So basically, we started our company about a year ago.
Okay.
Probably about 6 months before I was fortunate enough to work with you.
Oh yeah.
So it was really helpful to talk and go through the same, startup issues and fun times. But so we started about a year ago, and our whole goal with it is to show women that despite your busy lives, if you're a mom, if you're traveling all the time, that like you don't need a whole lot of time to accomplish the goals that you're looking for and to feel great and to hopefully, feel like you look as best as you would like to as well. So we developed these workouts so that there's kind of no excuse. So if you're in a very confined space, maybe you're in a hotel room or you're traveling and you might not even have a hotel gym, like you always have the tools to get in a workout. So that's our motivation of like, you really can be anywhere. You just have to be resourceful. So it's like, that's kind of why we started it. But.
Yeah. And like minimal equipment and minimal, financial investment, because I know like a lot of those are factors for holding people back. And I know a lot of women in specific get really intimidated going to a gym and picking up weights because there's so many men around and they don't know if they're, yeah, I mean, we've been athletes our whole lives, and sometimes we're even like, I don't know, like I don't know. So to be able to just have a set of dumbbells at your house and be able to do these workouts at home in the privacy of your own home, and maybe while your baby's napping, or when you can fit 30 minutes in at a lunch break, or I mean, obviously, or like if you're going to a gym and you can find a quiet space or whatever works for you. So that was a lot of our motivation. And then what else about SISSFiT? I mean, really just trying to reach as many women as we can. So that's kind of why we're in the digital space and trying to create YouTube videos and on-the-go workouts. And we've got our guides and just kind of learn from other women, like what they want to see and what will help them. We love to educate so that people can take the tools and do it on their own. So they don't need to rely on anyone else.
Are you guys purely doing like exercise workouts, or are you also tapping into nutrition and that part of it?
We do have a nutrition guide as well. We partnered with actually a nutritionist from Canada.
Oh yeah, cool.
Yeah. But so we produced a nutrition guide. It's awesome. It's very, very practical. So it's all meant for the busy on the go woman, which is probably all of us.
Yeah.
Simple recipes that we can do quickly that last for a few days. Just basic tips, nothing that's super depriving, but just very doable and results driven. So yeah, that definitely is a component.
Yeah, and we give recipes, we give education, we give templates to kind of guide you through, or like a 7-day kind of cheat sheet, like this is what a perfect week would look like, or actually we've got a dining out cheat sheet as well. So if you're on the road all the time and you don't know, like,
travel tips.
What should I opt for?
So hard. Like that's the hardest. I travel quite a bit also for, this work that I do. And, thankfully I often travel to places like California where it's very easy to get access to like really healthy, great stuff. But it's really not always the case, especially if you're like in a rural place and there's not that much. Like that's what I found to be the biggest struggle. So maybe I'll get that guide because that sounds wonderful. Most people who watch these Soul Purpose series are also entrepreneurs, or they're also health and wellness professionals. So either they're yoga teachers or they're personal trainers, Pilates. They're kind of in that sphere. So I'm always interested when people like start their business, especially with fitness. I mean, it's very popular and it's booming, but it's also super competitive. So what have been like the biggest challenges that you guys have faced? Because this is a new company, a new endeavor. So like, what's been the biggest challenge for anyone out there who's thinking about maybe starting their own, online personal fitness company?
You want me to answer that?
Sure.
There are a lot. I know there are lots.
It's funny because you're constantly evolving. So it's probably a great time to ask that, because we've just been looking at our entire business and we're like, you have to have a niche.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
You have to find you have to find what really defines you, because I think when you enter this space, to your point, it's very competitive, and we found ourselves looking at a lot of what other people were doing and then falling into the mold of doing what everyone's doing.
Right.
And at some extent it's great because you learn, what workouts people want to see and what they gravitate towards and just your audience in general. But I think for us, it's like kind of a light bulb went off of like, we've always been runners. We have a very specialized, cardio side. So that's more where we find our niche, being with our backgrounds. But yeah, it's funny. It's a funny process of defining that.
And it's trial and error, right? Because you don't want to miss the mark. Like you're trying to stay authentic to yourself, but then you also, at the end of the day, it's still a business and you want to be successful in what you're doing. So I know for me, it was really, really, really difficult. And like you were saying, I was looking at what everyone else was doing and like trying it out. And in the end, it just had nothing to do with who I was and who I wanted to be. So it's great that you've realized that early on. Logistically, like, are you guys living, because it's a shared business. I can't imagine owning a business with a sibling. Like, how does that go? Is that smooth sailing or?
You know what? I would say surprisingly, it's gone really well. We've always been like best friends, and we lived together in college, like upon our own free will. We actually enjoy one another's company. But at the same time, like one of the challenges we've had is I travel a lot for work. My schedule's constantly changing. And so Kel's done an amazing job of like holding down the fort sometimes when I'm in the air and I can't respond to emails or whatever it is. But at the same time, it's challenging when one of us like has an idea and we're not together and we can't necessarily move forward with that because like I'm on the road or she's training a client, or we definitely like it's so early in the business that we want to make sure that we're 100% on the same page with everything and every decision we're making. So I think it's definitely gotten easier as we've gone, because now she can do this and I can do this and we can delegate kind of tasks to one another. But figuring out like how are we going to continue moving forward? You would think sometimes like, oh, divide and conquer, it'll be so much more efficient that way. But
sometimes it's
sometimes it's the opposite. Exactly. So
you want to make sure you're on the same page.
But yeah, all in all, I would say it's really fun.
Yeah, it's funny. I mean, we've always been super close. I mean, people always laugh. They're like, how do you have so much to talk about? Like, you live together and you run together and you do everything. I'm like, I don't know. But so it's been a very seamless transition for us. But yes, sometimes we're just like, ideas are everywhere. They're here and you're like, we need to bring them here and we both need to bring them here. So I think that can cause a little bit of a slowdown at times.
Yeah, definitely. But I mean, as long as you have good communication and, realistic expectations, but that was kind of my questions with expectations, when you're about to launch something and like really dive into something, you have this idea of what you want it to look like and what you're hoping it's going to turn out like, and it doesn't always work out that way. So did your expectations kind of meet reality? Like, are you happy with where SISSFiT is right now and, how it's grown over the last year?
Yes and no.
Yeah.
There are a lot of things that have been surprisingly positive and that we necessarily didn't even think were going to happen, and like certain partnerships and interest from brands and that sort of thing has been really great. On the flip side, we're both used to just like working really hard and getting what we want, as bad as that sounds, like just working towards your goal and kind of getting it. And we had no benchmark for this starting up a company and starting from scratch. Yeah. And there has definitely been frustration.
A slow race
along the way. But kind of also to your point and asking that question earlier about figuring out how we're going to succeed in finding that niche. I think we pretty recently figured out exactly what that's going to be and how we're going to approach that. And we're definitely more like excited. And I think that we are ready to go.
Yeah. But I'm sure you experienced that as well. It's like you picture this massive, huge scale picture with no roadmap of how to get there. And you start moving and you're like, I'm doing so many things. I'm doing so many jobs that I don't know how to do. I'm fumbling through it, which I'm sure we all are. And you feel like you move very slowly. And I think, in order to be an entrepreneur, you're obviously wired in a certain manner. And I'm like sitting in front of a computer feeling so defeated sometimes where I'm like, I don't know how to do a whole marketing campaign. I don't know how to, run this. And so I think a lot of the just the little everyday things you realize make up a big component of the company and really can slow down where because you see yourself only doing, the skill that you're in, not the 95% of other components of a business. Yeah. So I think that's pretty eye-opening in the first year of there's so much to it. And there's so much that you don't know and you shouldn't know necessarily until you go through it. So
yeah. And I think learning and recognizing that we're not masters of everything. We're only masters of what we really know. And so to get that outside help or to get that consulting from other people so that we can move forward and not get so frustrated and logged down with the things that we're just not good at.
Yeah, there's this huge misconception, I think, of a lot of like, let's say, for example, the people who watch my videos. And I run yoga with Kassandra full-time. It's what I do on a full-time basis. And it's at first glance, it's like, oh, you just press record and, then you produce the video and that's what, like 3 hours a week? Like you got it so easy. And it's like, no. Like the actual content creation is such a small slice of the pie of running yoga with Kassandra. And when you're first starting, like, okay, so you have like 7 social media platforms that all of a sudden you have to learn and figure out how to use. Then there's video editing, and then there's marketing. What the hell is marketing? Like, I don't know how to market, like I studied psychology. Like, how did I end up here, And like managing your mailing list and building your website and networking with other people and like finances. Like I hated all of that,
And the legal, you throw it all in.
Oh, the legal part of it. It's huge. It's huge. And you mentioned like a little bit about like delegating and outsourcing and coaching. Like, have you guys utilized that at all? Like, have you found any resources of like, you know what, I'm just going to work with a coach or I'm just going to hire someone, or is it kind of just the two of you right now?
Just really recently, we've started to outsource a bit in terms of just video editing and things, putting together brochures, that sort of thing that someone else who specializes in it can make it like 40 times better. In 1 hour versus 1 hour that I could struggle and feel defeated for like 10 hours together. So yes, slowly but surely we're letting go of the reins because you can't do it all and move forward at the speed that you would like to.
Yeah.
So that was
Which is hard. Like, it's hard to relinquish control over you and my brand, my name, my content, you know, but it's so worthwhile in the end. Like, you get
it is. You just feel like you're treading water. You're constantly treading water, and you're like, how am I going to get to the next step when I'm trying to get all of this accomplished? And the next day I still have that same list, and it goes on and on. So being able to delegate some of that has been huge.
Yeah. So if you could give like a piece of advice to someone who, like you, was a trainer or a yoga instructor and wanted to start an online business, what would be like the number one piece of advice you could give them?
I would say, there are two. I would say find your niche and stick to that. And there are millions and millions of people in this world. There will be plenty of people to gravitate towards what you're doing. It's just a matter of getting the word out, which is challenging at times. And two, I would say focus on what you're really good at and find resources to help you with everything else. I mean, not like, I'm just going to spend a bunch of money, but there are a lot of really great, outsourcing companies overseas and people that just specialize and they're just part of this online network, and you can just delegate little things for very small amounts of money and not to get so many like family members and friends and that sort of thing involved. So just focusing on what you're good at and finding your niche, I think.
100%. Yeah.
Yeah, that's good advice. I do a lot of coaching with yoga teachers who want to go online, and that's one resistance that comes up for people all the time, is they're worried that if they do define their audience and if they do call out their niche, they're worried that there just won't be enough people in there for them to be sustainable. And it's like, it's the opposite.
You feel like you have such a larger audience when you define.
Yeah, exactly. Like when you try to serve everyone, you serve no one, because no one resonates with your message. Like, why would they follow you as opposed to the other girl who looks like you and kind of has the same kind of voice and the same kind of message, you know? Like, you need to be able to go out, but that's very hard for people. And I know that me personally too, I struggled with that because I didn't want to turn anyone away. You know, I wanted to help everyone, but it just doesn't work. Like, it just doesn't work.
You learn it quickly.
Yeah, we learned that firsthand for sure.
Yeah.
The other, I forget how you phrased it, but you guys are pretty prevalent on social media, and you seem to have like all your boxes. Like, you have your website and you're prevalent on a lot of social media platforms, and you're blogging and you're making videos. Like, you're kind of doing all the things that I think a new entrepreneur in the health and wellness field should do. But which one has been like the most successful for you? Like Instagram, your Instagram account is huge now. It's like 20,000 followers. So has that been your biggest, most, I don't know, helpful, I guess, platform? Or what has really worked for you guys in terms of like tools and mediums and platforms?
I would say Instagram.
Yeah, I would say that's what we've definitely utilized the most. Mm-hmm. We've probably put the most thought into that. I think we love, our background in like sports and fitness and modeling and that sort of thing. We're fortunate to have access to a lot of photographers and friends that just want to test and take pictures, and it's for both of us. And with videos now, you can obviously post quick workout videos, and I think it's been a really great platform for us. We've tried to get a little bit into the YouTube space more recently, just so that we can give more like a fuller workout.
Yeah.
Right.
But video is just something that we haven't played around with that much. So it definitely feels a little more intimidating or full on.
Yeah. We're still figuring that part out, because even in that, it's like, do people want to hear you talk, and do they want to hear the cues, or do they just want music to it? Do they want it sped up? Like,
do they want the full workout, or they just want like a snippet so they can do it on their own? And
yeah, it's funny. It's all just trial and error at this point. But Instagram's definitely been very, very helpful in terms of the collaborations and just getting word out.
And working with other brands and that sort of thing. It's been great.
Awesome. So where would you see SISSFiT in like 5 years?
Oh man.
I can never answer that question. When people ask me that question, I'm like, I don't know. Like, it's a very hard question to answer, I find, but I figured I'd throw it out there.
It's a fun one.
I know we definitely want to grow kind of our voice in high intensity cardio right now. So specializing in those treadmill workouts, eventually then taking it, I think that's a good place to start, taking it outside to track workouts and running stairs and hills and just showing people all of these different ways. you can go run up your hill outside your house 5 times in about 20 minutes and you're gassed. Like you just toned your legs, your booty, your heart got pumping, like your arms are on fire. I mean, it's total body toning in 20 minutes. But I think that that's so much of our background and what we want to share with people. So I think it would be growing that and then figuring out, where does that fit in? Is it an app? Is it subscription? Are we like going in and personally teaching people? I mean, I think we would love a combination of it all.
Yeah, I would say, I mean, we definitely want to, of course, do the developing behind the scenes so that we can reach large amounts of people, whether that's video or anything, but we love the in-person interaction. We find that just so beneficial. So it would be amazing to, like Lauren said, if it's trainings or teaching larger scale boot camps and traveling, it's so, I don't know, we're open to so many things. So.
Yeah. It's like, there are so many different places you can take it, you know, and like the market is always changing. So it's always like opening you up to different ideas and inspirations and avenues and like retreats and like, there's just so much, you know, that you can do. I always ask this to people, like if you could recommend resources, either like a book or a podcast that you really like, that you found to be really inspirational and educational to help get your business up and running.
I mean, what do you think the bottle launch formula? I think was helpful for us in our first launch.
Yeah, it was called Launch by Jeff Walker.
Make a note of that.
Yeah, it's just about launching your first product and how important it is to garner that email list and utilize that. And, you know, just laying the tracks to launch your first product rather than just being like, surprise, I have a product, and then realizing people aren't buying because they don't know, they were only told once. So that was really beneficial. And then a book that I read recently that I'm actually getting Lauren to read is called Eat That Frog. It's so basic. It's so simple, but it's just procrastination techniques. And so it's like, if you have a big frog that's staring at you that you actually have to eat, like the sooner you do it, the quicker it's gone. And then you can move on to the rest of your day. Like, don't wait until 6 p.m. to eat your frog. That's like the principle of it. So just really great ways to break down, because as entrepreneurs, you have a million things that you can do, but a lot of them can wait and are not top priority and are not going to get you to the next level. So it's just learning how to sit down with undivided attention and conquer tasks before moving on to your more mundane ones.
Which is so hard.
Yeah, exactly. It's so much easier said than done. It's like and that's the beauty of, I don't know, beauty or not, of owning a business, is like, there's so many frogs that you just don't want to eat. So you keep just like pushing them off, but just do it, move on, then you can focus and do what you want to do.
Yeah, super basic. Launch and eat that frog. Those are our two.
Yeah, that frog. I've never heard of that one, but I'm definitely going to check out. Another one, if you like that, you might like The War of Art by Stephen Pressfield. And it's basically just like, shut up and do the work. Like,
totally.
Shut up, sit down, start working, stop making excuses about why you can't do this and that. And just like, it's like when I need a good like kick in the butt, I just like open that book up to a random page and I'm like, okay.
What's it called? The War of Arts?
The War of Art by Stephen Pressfield. Yeah,
I'll have to get that one.
For any creative person, for any entrepreneur or artist, it's really good, especially if you know that you do tend to undervalue your work, you know, or if you really do tend to procrastinate. It's just like that really great push that you need when you're feeling uninspired and a little lazy and comfortable. Like when you're just kind of comfortable with where you're at, but you know that you could be doing something more. Because that's hard, you know. You get one success and then you're like, oh, all right, like this worked out well. But then it's like, well, day's not over. Like keep going, you know.
Yes. Oh my gosh, I
cool.
love that.
I want to read that.
Definitely.
Yeah, it's awesome. What's been like the best thing so far about starting this? Like, what's the biggest, I don't know, reward, I guess, in a way, most satisfying?
I just feel like knowing that the sky's the limit and that we can work together and, you know, build our lives the way that we want to without really feeling like there's restrictions.
I would say definitely that on the business side. And then on the personal side, it's just like the feedback and those women's whose lives you really do feel like you're touching. And that's why you get into it. But you never know if people are going to actually connect and resonate. And so to really get those stories and get that feedback is like beyond.
Yeah, that you connect with so many people you would never anticipate, or it's like sometimes you don't realize that you're even influencing them or touching them at all until they write you a note and you're like, oh my gosh, like I want to hug you. I don't know you in another country, but like you just totally connect. And so it's just amazing.
Yeah, totally. I wish I could meet all those people that like reach out to me. I kind of want to do like a little tour or something just to be able to like hit all those spots. What do you think is like the biggest misconception about being a personal trainer? Because I know there are a lot.
Oh gosh, that's a good one.
Yeah.
That you work out all the time. That's
so, okay, here's a follow-up question. How often do you guys work out? What does your actual personal workouts, what does that look like?
I would say we try to work out about 6 days a week, but it's anywhere between 30 minutes to an hour, definitely no longer than an hour.
Cool.
So a combo of.
And like, I would say most days kind of rotate, like we'll do high intensity cardio. It's just like our guides. We'll do high intensity cardio one day. The next day we'll do more of like a strength lifting session. We typically throw in like 1 day of yoga a week to keep our bodies balanced. And then I would say maybe once a week we take like a 60-minute class that includes both cardio and strength training. Just to mix it up and to get out there. And then we love like, we have a get outside Saturday thing. So Saturdays we love to go out and like hike or stand up paddle or like go try golf or tennis or I don't know, anything new. Just like be outside and explore. But for the most part, like we never work out more than an hour. And people are always like, do you work out like 3 hours a day? I mean, you must live in a gym. And it's like, no, we're busy too. Like this is why we do this. Like, yeah, you do work.
So that's a big one.
So I'd say that's a big one. Yeah, and kind of like you were saying, I think just people assuming you've got all the time in the world.
What do you do all day?
It's like,
you just snap an Instagram picture and upload it, and there you go.
Man. So.
Yeah, I can totally relate to that. What about like your own personal diets? Like, what do you guys advocate? And you know, what does your daily health and food regimen look like?
That's a great question. We've definitely tried a number of different things. Like we did not eat healthy growing up, actually at all. It was like all
Me
fast
either.
food. We didn't know better. It was great. Like it was cheap. It wasn't honestly until college, and I think we both went through it. We both put on a bit of the freshman 15, more like 30 for me. I wasn't performing. Yeah, I wasn't performing. I mean, I was like, I'm a Division I athlete. Like I have goals, and I was, you know, and whatever. I wasn't hitting those goals. And so I sat down with a nutritionist between my freshman and sophomore year. I cleaned up my diet. I trained really hard that summer, and my performance just went from like not where I wanted it to be to like way beyond where I ever dreamed. So I think around that time was when we both realized nutrition is so important. And
and just those raw foods, like things that labels you can read. And
I mean, we did try like the low carb and all of that, and like maybe it was effective, but it just is not sustainable, and we didn't have the energy. So we've definitely come full circle, and it's like just whole unprocessed foods. We just try and we get a lot of greens, a lot of veggies, a lot of fruits. We do eat meat, not mandatory at all. I think there's so many ways to get protein these days. And we definitely indulge too. I mean, we like our glass of wine, we love our ice cream, chocolate here and there, but I think just everything in moderation, and nothing is off limits. I think with how much we travel, it would be really challenging to be on a really strict diet. And so we kind of just said, eat what you need to, when you need to, like be conscious,
listen to your body,
enjoy it, listen to your body, and move on.
Do you agree with like cheat days and things like that?
So that's funny because we have done that as well.
Yeah, we've done like the whole restrict and then eat like everything in sight. But I would say more so no, actually. Don't get me wrong, if you're really trying to be disciplined, I understand like having a goal of like then I get to have this meal. But for us, we're like, we'd rather have the bits of the cheat day spread throughout the week so that you don't feel this overwhelming sense to like binge, or that you need like a crazy sugar overload. That's not to say that they don't like happen. That
exactly.
Have, like, large
you go out with your girlfriends and all of a sudden you had 4 pieces of pizza, a bag of popcorn, and a pint of ice cream. You're like, probably wasn't the best decision. It happens, of course.
But we definitely don't like restrict and plan them. No.
Yeah, I agree. That has never worked for me. It's like cheat day, might as well erase everything that I've done. Like
then it takes a full week to get back, and especially as you start getting a little bit older. Maybe when you're 18, you bounce right back, but it's harder to like get that metabolism back up and to filter all that out.
Yeah. So I'd say, I mean, and just not feeling guilty throughout the whole week. Like that's how we used to feel. We're like, oh, we can't have this, we can't have that, we can't have that. And then you have something and it tastes good, but then you feel horrible about it. Like that just whole mindset of the restrict and then have everything, just we didn't find healthy, or it didn't serve us. It didn't make us happy. So when we were able to let go of that and not feel the guilt of eating and just eat what our body wanted and be like, you know what, if it wants a bit of ice cream, like maybe I'm low in sugar. Maybe I don't know. That's probably not a good example. I kind of always want that.
Maybe I just really want it.
But just really listening to your body and not, overstuffing yourself by any means, but just having really what your body is craving and asking for, whether that be protein, whether that be sugars, fats. We found that super beneficial.
Yeah, and I was going to say at the same time, like if you notice yourself like, oh, I want sugar every single day, well, that's probably a habit you've created that you want to kick out. Like you need to restrict a little bit, like pay attention to that sort of thing. Don't just say, oh, I want pasta, but try and make conscious decisions. Give yourself a little bit of leeway here and there, and you're going to be fine.
Yeah. Because I know, like for me personally, the line between I consciously want to work on improving my health and fitness, and then crossing the line to I am now obsessing about my health and fitness and I am so unhealthy, that line is really delicate and really fine. And I have to, like, I'm not like a diet person or anything like that, but whenever I get like the urge to like, oh, I'm going to work out more, I'm going to watch what I eat, I really need to be super mindful of not doing things like counting or restricting, because I'll wake up one morning and realize like I have crossed over to like the dark side where all of a sudden my life is my food. And I think a lot of people will fall into that, whether your life is your food because you are emotionally overeating and because you have a food addiction, or it's because you're way too healthy and you're counting every single freaking calorie, or you're like obsessing over what you can and cannot have. Like that's a dangerous territory to be.
You just miss out on so much of your life, and it's like we see ourselves falling guilty to it at certain times, and you're like, why am I counting calories? Like,
what am I doing?
Yeah, what am I doing?
It's so silly. It doesn't actually work for us.
Counting calories just makes us miserable.
So it's like,
I wish like
taking a minute before every meal and saying like, this is really what I want and need, and like, okay, I'm full now. Just like being a little bit more mindful, but not obsessing.
Yeah, mindfulness. I think that's a good way about it. That's good.
And I know like certainly there are times when I'm like, girlfriend, you need to reel it in this week. Like you have been off the wagon, but that doesn't mean that means everything's off the table. It just means like, okay, prioritize putting together healthy meals then. Don't look at all the things you can't have or like the lack of calories you need to have. Like for me, it's like, okay, well then if I'm wanting to be healthy, let's think of all these healthy meals that I can get excited to have.
And start maybe meal prep a little bit, or cut fresh fruits and veggies and have them in your refrigerator. So that's what you're gravitating toward instead of
versus being like, oh no, this is going to be a miserable week. Like, oh, what a bummer. Like you just don't want that mindset.
And how do you guys, sorry, I keep saying I'm going to wrap it up and then I have like more questions that come into my mind. But just because like health and fitness is a really interesting world to be in, because how do you guys balance the idea that like having positive body image and high self-esteem and accepting who you are right now and loving yourself with wanting to improve and wanting to do things like lose weight, like how do you marry and combine those two together? It's difficult.
It's definitely difficult. And I think that we're even like maybe overexposed to it from being in the modeling industry as well. And we're so fortunate to be on the health and fitness side, but they still want to see, like, if you had a six-pack in a picture, like a client wants you to show up with that six-pack, and maybe you were just flying and you're bloated and you don't feel the way that you want to. And so I think it's, number one, it's just being confident, like being confident in knowing you're healthy, you're strong, you're doing the right things for your body, and that's all you can do. I think another thing, we've been so fortunate to be raised by wonderful parents that have instilled that inner confidence. And so just knowing that like our outward appearance is not worth that much. Yes, it's so important. It's so important for our work, and we of course want to feel and look good. But I think just finding that inner confidence and knowing, I think the more that we're healthy, the more that we know we've made the right decisions and we're working out for strength and overall health versus vanity, you just feel better. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But it's difficult, especially with you guys being models. That's all about your appearance, you know? Like, so I can't imagine being in that world. Like, did you find it fairly easy to navigate? Did you find it difficult? Was there a lot of pressure on you to always be, you know, you got a sports photo shoot tomorrow, so you better have your six pack. Like, I can't imagine.
There's definitely a bit of pressure. I think being perfectionists, we put a lot of that pressure on ourselves where it's not even always outward. We've definitely, unfortunately, seen a lot of women really affected by it. And it's easy to get affected by it sometimes. But I think the biggest thing is like, you realize after being in it long enough, the reason you didn't get booked for a job or the reason they weren't happy wasn't because you were 3 pounds over your normal weight. It was because you were blonde and they wanted a brunette, or you were 6 feet and they wanted someone that was 5'7". They don't give you that. So you don't know why they said, no, we don't want you, we'll take her. And so I think a lot of people like just really get down on themselves for that. And I think it's just recognizing like, no, like take it or leave it. Like, this is how I'm going to be. For that person, I was too buff. For this person, I'm too skinny. Like, I'm never going to fit into that mold of making everyone happy. So this is how I feel healthy. This is how I feel good. Take it or leave it. And it just has to be that way.
Yeah. I would say honestly, just the mentality. I mean, I'm so much newer to modeling than Lauren, and a lot of times don't
like you're pretty good too.
Yeah. Not at all. But I've just realized that there are times when I enjoy it and there are times when I'm like, get me the heck out of here. And it all depends on the mindset that you're in. And just realizing that being able to mature enough to understand, like Lauren said, this is me. And if you don't book me, it has nothing to do with me. And just having that confidence is so liberating, because you're like, oh, like if it was 3 pounds, like it wasn't the 3 pounds. It was because they didn't want this, and it doesn't affect me and it doesn't change who I am. And it doesn't mean, you know, I'm not on track for my goals. Like, just really being able to be like yourself and let everything go on around you but not affect you, I feel like is so like you said, it's a fine line to walk. But once you can get there mentally and just be like, I'm so worthy and I'm so worth, you know, booking jobs or not booking jobs or doing whatever I want to do, and just being able to hold on to that like internal confidence is, I think, what makes it doable. But when you're kind of slipping and feel a bit insecure, it can be a miserable atmosphere.
Yeah. And we're lucky, like I said, to be on the sports side, because a lot of clients want us to run or want us to do, you know, push-ups and squats and things that we're very comfortable with.
You feel good about,
and so you feel like you have a skill to offer, which is really empowering as well.
Yeah. Do you find it easier or harder as you get older?
I think almost easier, because you become so much more comfortable. Harder because it's like, you don't bounce back as quickly sometimes. But I think personally, I've found it easier because I think you just start to grow into yourself more and just accept your flaws or
I think that inner confidence in that, like, well, take it or leave it.
Yeah. I am what I am. You know?
With you. But at the same time, I mean, it is an industry of youth. So like, I don't know, I've noticed, like, you know, I feel like, oh, did I hit my peak and now I'm coming off of it? And I used to be the 21-year-old looking at these girls like, wow, you're still working? And now I've got those girls saying that to me. And I'm like, wait, when did I get old? So
that is the worst.
I know, we all feel so young.
Like, wow, like it's so, and it's funny, we laugh at it. It's not personal. Like, we all know that is the industry that we're in. But it is funny.
No, I think about that all the time. Like, I'm 26 now. I'm not like, you know, old or anything. Like, I'm only 26, but I remember, I feel like I was just 16, and I feel like 16-year-old me thought that 26-year-old women were like
ancient.
It's different, you know, like 30 was like, oh my God, like, you know, like, now like 30 is so young. Like, you're only just starting to do what you want to do. Like, it's so funny how that perception changes as you get older. Now I'm like, 16-year-old me was an idiot. Like, no.
Oh yeah.
The older I get, the better things get, you know, like I want to keep getting older because it's just getting better and better. So I don't know but it's a youth culture. Like, we are only looking at pictures and videos of like young, fit, really young women, like sometimes like really young teenagers portrayed as adult women.
Right. Exactly. Yeah. And you're like,
this is not realistic.
Haven't even like filled out yet. But that's where I know it's so like, with everything that we're doing, we're like, it's so hard seeing everything go around, and it's like I can't imagine being young now and looking at the comparison that you have every single day.
Yeah,
and
me either.
It feels like a competition. And so I think that's one of the biggest things. I think you asked us earlier, it was like, of what we want to show is that, like, just because I put on 5 pounds doesn't mean Laura needs to put on 5 pounds to make me feel better about myself.
Right.
You know? It's just, there is no competition.
It's
in your head.
Being comfortable with
know?
you. And that's a huge reason for why we started this and why we absolutely love and appreciate the world and modeling and everything that's come of that. But to be able to like start our own thing and show women like you can be healthy and fit and active and you don't have to fit into a box or look a certain way is the ultimate.
100%. Yeah. It's like you can just break through of what I guess society and just everything tells you should be concerned about and worried about and feel, and just be happy and confident and feel good about the things you're doing. Like that's our ultimate goal to portray that and just show that, like, you know, we can be sisters and we aren't trying to beat each other all the time, that we 100% support each other and have our entire lives. And that is genuine, you know, and we want you to show people that you can do that. Like we can do, you know, everyone's relationship can be super positive and pushing everyone to be, you know, their best selves. It's not a constant competition. So
yeah.
It's hard to get a perception to break down, but we're up for the challenge.
Yeah. I just, like just talking about like this youth culture or whatever, I remember seeing this ad, and this was maybe only a couple months ago, but it was like, I think it was like Estee Lauder, I'm not sure, but it was one of these big companies, and they were advertising like an eye wrinkle repair cream, and they had Kendall Jenner as the model. And I'm like, she's 20 years old. Like, what is she wearing? Can you imagine being like above 50, for example, and looking at that ad and like just wanting to punch whoever the marketing team behind that was? Like, why the hell would you hire a 20-year-old beautiful model to sell your wrinkle cream? Like, do you think your consumer is that stupid? Like,
to assume that this is what fixed you.
Like, do you really think they're going to put on that cream and be like, oh yeah, like I like that? Anyway, we work in a very strange field, that's for sure. But
very much so.
You know, I always hope, like, I hope I'm still going to be doing this in my 30s and in my 40s and in my 50s, because I hope I get to be one of those people who shows that this is, you know, right now I am in my 20s, so it's like people don't believe me really when I say that this is for everyone. Right. They're like, we'll see. But I hope that I am doing this in a couple decades to show that, like, no, it is okay. It is for everyone. And like, you don't have to be 20 forever, you know, have room here. But anyways, that's my little soapbox. Okay. So before I wrap this up, last little question. If there's any kind of like last message that you would give to someone, either to someone who wants to kind of regain control over their health and fitness, or someone who is a trainer and would be interested in starting something like you guys, just any last little words of advice to the internet?
I think someone trying to overcome, I think just find what motivates you and find what excites you. And it might be quite a bit of trial and error and trying a lot of classes and trying stuff from home and going to the gym and working out with a friend or working out on your own. I think just going on that journey and finding what works for you, and then just kind of branching out from there. Because once you fall in love with one thing and you develop a little bit of strength or fitness, it might take you somewhere else or expose you to something new. And I think that it has to come from within. No one else can tell you that you have to be a certain way.
I would say totally finding what you enjoy versus the things that make you miserable. Because if you're trying to fix something, like being in that state and being miserable, it's probably not the right path. There's so many healthy avenues that probably, you know, that can apply to your life and that you will enjoy. So definitely seeking out those ones that are more enjoyable, and then from there progressing into
and I would say anyone starting, like we said, the niche thing, and then just
perseverance,
be resilient.
Yeah, definitely.
And it's not always fun. It is so gratifying at times, but it takes a lot of ups and downs.
Yeah, absolutely. So where can people find you if they want to connect with you and if they want to try out your exercise programs? I think you guys have a new one that's come out, 2.0 something.
Yeah, so we have, our Instagram is at SISS, S-I-S-S. It's an acronym for Stay Inspired, Stay Strong. So it has two S's.
I love that.
So it's at SISS SISSFIT. And then our website is just SISSFiT.com, also with 2 S's. And on our website, I think on our landing page and on our guides page, you can download a free 7-day trial. So you can try out like what would a week of SISSFIT look like. We have a YouTube channel as well. It's not, I mean, we put out like a workout every week. So
yeah, we have a few. We're just starting to grow. But I mean, they're amazing workouts, and they're just quick, concise ones that you can do at lunch or just if you have a couple few minutes. So definitely recommend those. And then we launched our second round of guides. Our first one was really fun, and everyone, they wanted a little more, not advanced, but just a continuation on once you understand the principles that we have within our guides. So we just launched another 8 weeks. So we have 16 weeks of fun, challenging workouts.
Awesome. Yeah. And are these workouts that like you started on a certain day and they run, or people do them at their own time kind of?
You can do them at your own time. Yeah. So it's just a downloadable guide that you kind of take at your own pace and can take. And we actually have a vacation week included in there. So that's all body weight workouts. A lot of people stress out about like, well, summer's coming up and I'm going on vacation, so I'm going to fall off my plan.
Yes, I don't want to start it today.
Yeah. And so basically this is like the perfect way of, you can do these literally anywhere. It has no equipment involved. That way you can substitute those workouts for as long as you need and then jump right back into your plan and you don't feel like you fell off track or lost any momentum.
Awesome. Perfect for the summer for a lot of people.
Exactly.
All right. Well, thank you so very much, Kelly and Lauren, for being on this Slow Purpose episode. It was so great to connect with you and just, learn from you and share your wisdom with the viewers. I'm sure they will really appreciate it. And thank you for your time. I'm glad that, after like 6 months of trying to plan this, we finally did it.
Thank you so much for the inspiration, and we really appreciate you having us on.
Wonderful. Okay, thanks guys. Have a great day.
Take care. Bye.
Bye.